If you own a business and you're looking to sell it, what's an LOI contract and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Sylvan coming to you live from Sacramento, California. A perfect day to talk about sales and business and a fantastic day to talk about you for consulting secrets. All right, so here's the thing. There's going to be a point where you're looking around or you wake up in the morning like, you know what, I think I really need to sell my business. And you could go to a private investor, you can go to a friend that's got a similar company, or you could go to something like private equity or a company that's building one big giant company by selling it. And so here's what's going to happen. Eventually, you and another party are going to get together and they're going to, hey, let's get this under contract. And a letter of intent is an outline. And it has a lot of elements to it or a few elements to it. Depends upon how much information you really want to put in here. I've always been a fan of I'm going to show you what I'm really looking for up front. I'm going to add in some key elements. I'm going to put in some provisions for me. So think of it as at first, you're dating. You're talking back and forth with a business owner, with a private equity firm, and you're like, hey, I kind of like you. Well, this is an engagement ring. This is saying we are going to make things official. We're going to have some conversations. We're going to do some back and forth. There's probably going to be some due diligence. There's going to be documentations that you want. Do we, me and you, want to work together and actually form this relationship and make this sell happen? And there's legal provisions to an LOI. It's two parties. We're just initiating the conversation saying, do we like each other enough to do a sneak and peek in the business to see if we can actually do what is going to take place, right? So let's say that your business is doing $10 million a year in revenue and it has a $2 million profit margin, right? After EBITDA and everything, you're like, I'm doing 10 too. They're going to want to validate that information. It's a validation. They're saying, hey, I like you, but let's just put some trust factor here and say, is what you're telling me accurate? Is what you're telling me true? Now, here's the thing. If you're looking to sell your business in the next 0 to 36 months and you need some exit advice strategies, you should reach out to my deal hotline, 888-DEAL-919, 888-DEAL-919. If you're doing $2 million or more in revenue with at least a 10% profit margin, a member of my team will get back to you, 888-DEAL-919. So here's what you need to know. LOIs work for mergers and acquisitions. They work for joint ventures. They work for real estate. They are an outline of what I expect from you and what you expect from me. It could be hey, in exchange for the $10 million that you want for the company, I'm going to give you access to the intellectual property. I'm going to give you the customer list. I'm going to have conversations with you. I might want to talk to some employees. We are going to give this 60 to 90 days. You need to sign this in 5 to 15 days. And if it doesn't go through, then no harm, no foul. Everything's on you. Everything's on me. If it does work out, we are going to pay you your $10 million. Now, some companies, you do need to know, use an LOI as a way to get their foot in the door, and they're going to give you a really high valuation of the company. And then the negotiation happens. They wanted to give you $10 million, and $10 million was fantastic. That bought you your yacht, and you could go hang out in the Caribbean, or it could buy your house in Hawaii, right? And then the next thing you know, they're like, well, it's $9 million. Well, it's $8 million. Well, it's $7 million. Now, some of that may be real. Some of that may be that there was some misstatements in the financials. Some of it may be that the numbers just didn't play out the way that you thought that they did. And some of it can be nefarious, right? I'm a big fan of let's do trust but verify, trust but validate, but let's not just say that people are being nefarious. There's been times where I have looked at LOIs or looked at a company and I'm about to get into LOI and I talk to an accountant and they're like, hey, Scott, time out. When we take a look at these deductions and everything that's going on, not everything worked out to the way it was represented. Round number, we were going to give $1 million for the business. Really, the valuation is now $700,000. There are times where this is true. But be aware that just because you have an LOI, just because you've started this conversation, doesn't mean that that's the number that you're going to get. And when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, deal making, buying companies, something like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 companies, they never get to the exchange. And usually what it is an owner of a company, an organization, has a view that this is where I think my multiple should be, this is where I believe it should be. And then the valuations, the numbers, the bean crunchers, the accountants come in and they're like, time out, it's not that big. Now, if you talk to 3 private equity firms, if you talk to 3 investors, you may get 3 total different prices of what somebody's going to give you in their letter of intent, in their LOI. So sometimes it just comes down to, do I like this person? Do I think that they're going to treat my employees right? Do I think they're going to treat my clients right? So there's a lot more that goes into an LOI than just the facts and the figures. There are people that I have met with and we're like, hey, we're going to go LOI. And then we do some dinner or we do some lunch and they treat a server poorly. And I'm like, not the type of person that I want to deal with. This isn't somebody that I ever want to do business with. They might be hiding something. And for me, somebody who cheats at golf is like an automatic exclusion. Like, I really don't want to do business with this person because they're probably going to cheat at something else. Just my personal beliefs. You got one of three things to do from here. Just one of three. Find the subscribe, hit the subscribe button. You'll get some updates. 2, hit follow. 3, you know what you got to do. Share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.